if this guy steps out on the porch and we give him commands of surrender and he doesn't do that, if he turns to go back inside the house,
Drop them.
literally that's it. You are authorized to put this guy down. What's up, Brother Howard?
Hey, man, what is happening, Sean?
Nothing. We are going to run down another episode here of Coptales and Cocktails with just the two of us. It's we've done one, and
Yeah.
it was a blast. It was easy to do.
You know why? Because when I talk to you on the phone, I'm always asking you cop shit,
That you are.
and you're always asking me how you can like beauty tips,
That I am.
and how I have such a lustrous head of hair and this facial hair of God. So
Correct.
I mean, this
correct.
is
You're probably using bear grease on it.
I probably would. I would. That comes from heating oil.
Yes.
I liked having him on a lot. But hey, but we're always talking about this stuff. So, and it's pretty interesting. We get these long conversations and we talk about current events, things that have happened, things that are pretty funny. So we should just do an episode.
That
like
was the
this.
idea of how this whole podcast came about, basically.
Right. We were bored in a car going across Pennsylvania for 4 days.
Buying booze. Pennsylvania, you do have a pretty state, by the way.
You do have a very long state.
Very, very long, lengthy.
What were we? 6 hours?
Yeah, something like that. It just kept going and going. And where was the place we ate at?
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. No, was Cracker Barrel in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, dude, we ate at Cracker Barrel a couple of times.
Remember we stopped somewhere at night and ate, was it like Burger King?
No, we tried to find some place to eat at past 10 o'clock, and all that we could find was Burger King.
Okay, yeah. So
we ended up eating at a Chipotle.
Chipotle. All right, never go wrong with Chipotle.
Yeah, they're not a sponsor, but if you'd like to be a sponsor, we're here for you.
Chipotle, I eat the shit out of your food. You should sponsor us.
You can pay us in gift cards.
I'll take that.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I like the double chicken. It's good.
All right, let's get this on. So today on this episode of podcast, we are going to drink a lovely 1792. Speaking of that trip, we went to this distillery and did a tour there.
Yeah.
And I know you will remember this, but I'm going to ask you anyways. I did not know this. I had bottles of 1792. There are several different ones, but the Sweet Wheat is probably one of my favorites. The 12-year, the Full Proof are good ones also. But why are they called 1792?
Damn, I forgot. Tell me.
I asked this on the deal, or maybe they said it, but that is the year that Kentucky became a state.
Ah, okay.
So a little history here for everybody listening. You get history as well as comedy and police knowledge.
We're basically we're like school.
We're pretty much an Encyclopedia Britannica.
All right, so man, we always I got a few things that I'm gonna bring up, and one of the things that you and I
cheers first.
Oh yeah, cheers. Why we get? Hold on, I gotta drink this. Why we get along so well is that we have the same
moms.
It's not what your dad said. The same sense of humor, right?
That is true.
And one of the things that we find funny is we find certain comedians, we're like, oh, damn, that guy is spot on. He's very, very, very funny.
I love a good comedian.
And one of the comedians that I like a lot, and then I quote quite a bit, is Cat Williams.
That you do.
And I was talking about Cat Williams, talking about smoking weed, and weed's gotten very strong as of late. And he doesn't like smoking the weed that is very strong as of late.
He's a little fella.
Yeah.
Have you seen, actually, just on a side deal here, have you seen the video where he fights like a 7th grader that puts him on his ass?
Yeah, I saw that. He's
okay.
Tiny.
Yeah, he gets put down.
Yeah, but he's always talking about, he goes, I don't need Thriller, Killer, I just need regular weed. So I was talking about that, and you said, hey, man, have you seen the one where he's talking about Tink Tink?
Like, poor little Tink Tink.
I'm like, no. And he goes, you got to watch the one about Tink Tink. So, of course, you send me a video. I'll watch it. And I was like, holy shit, that is fucking hilarious.
It's comedy genius.
Yeah, so it is. Well, so when he's referring to Tink Tink, who's he referring to?
He's referring to the former, was he Olympic runner? I mean,
Paralympian.
Paralympian, right? It was a Pistorius, I think is how his name's pronounced, if I remember correctly.
Oscar
Pistorius, I believe is what it was. But he was he was a track star.
Yeah.
That was missing his legs basically from his knees down. And he had, I don't know what they're called. I mean, there's some sort of a prosthetic. Well, do you know what that, I mean, you're a medical guy. What exactly are those?
Those are prosthetics, reverse camber legs.
There you go. Reverse cambered legs. But in the comedy stand-up,
they're made out of metal.
he talked about him having to race against regular people,
Regular legs.
and he called him little tink tink because of his legs when he's like tink 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 when he's running. And I think he called him bent back paper clips.
They call it bent back paper.
I mean, it is literally one of the funniest.
It is very funny.
It is a funny segment.
We
in
should
comedy.
plug in a clip here.
I agree. For anybody, yes. If we can't plug this thing in, go to YouTube, punch in just poor little tink tink,
Right.
and you will find it's an old clip. I mean, it's got to be at least 10 plus years old, probably.
Well, with a name like Oscar Pistorius, he was not from America. He was from Australia.
Yeah, and he he went to prison.
Yeah, you know what he went to prison for?
Was it a murder?
Yeah.
Or like
he shot his girlfriend through the door.
And try to say his accident.
Yeah, like he thought somebody was attacking her there, so he shot through the door and
Right.
ended up killing her. Well, they didn't buy it, and they sentenced him to 13 years in prison.
Okay.
Well, he's up for parole right now, and he's pissed because the family is slowing down his parole. And they're talking about, I guess this is in Australia. Maybe do we have anything similar to this? This is why I'm asking this question. It's called victim offender dialogue, where the victim's family gets to come in, they get to talk to the parole board and say, hey, can we release this bastard or not?
Yeah, we do have that. So it's like a victim impact statement. Even, it's oftentimes it's done at the conclusion of a trial where there's a conviction, as part of the sentencing. And then when people come up for parole, let's say, a crime, something like that here in at least Oklahoma, it's what we call an 85% crime. So you get, we'll just say 10-year sentence. You have to do 85% of that sentence before you're eligible for parole. And so even if you're being a good lad inside prison and taking classes and not getting in trouble, you still have to serve 85% until you're up for parole. And then when you come up for parole, they're going to look at, were you getting in trouble while you were locked up? Are you doing the programming, whether it's substance abuse, mental health, things like that, getting your GED if you need to, and so forth. But they do have everything from victims' families to police officers, prosecutors, and stuff like that can go to the parole hearing and give their opinion if they think this person should be out.
You ever been to one?
I have not.
You know any cops that have been?
Not cops. It's not something typically police officers do. I mean, it's just not.
That's the shit you see in the movies where the guy's like, oh.
Yeah. Now, like I said, prosecutors, they're the ones that will someone from the district attorney's office, if somebody does go, will be that. But oftentimes it's victims' families or victims themselves, especially if you're talking, child abuse, sexual assault, and things like that. And they're the victims that go and talk about the impact that this person had on their life with their crimes.
Yeah, that's awful. So I'm glad that the families get a say in that.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so we just there's a couple things. Guess who else got released from prison this week?
I do not know.
Very famous man named John Hinckley.
John Hinckley, old school case. Yeah, that's a very old case.
He shot President Reagan.
He did,
and it was all over a girl, right?
That I didn't know.
It was over Jodie Foster.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's how he was trying to get Jodie Foster. Little did we know that Jodie Foster was not interested in him or any other guy.
Well, yes. Well,
this is true.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of girls that do like gangsters, that like bad guys. So, maybe he was thinking she would be down for it.
But he got out today. All right. So the one thing I also wanted to talk about is that something happening. I'm on social media just like everybody else. And one of my favorite social media sites to follow is the Tulsa Police Department.
Yeah.
And you can follow them on Facebook. If anybody would like to follow them, they have some wonderful stories on there.
They're on Twitter. I know that.
They are on Twitter. Hey, we've got a Twitter story coming up too. So this week on there, they had a gentleman and a girl who committed a murder and then called an Uber.
Yes.
And the Uber picked them up as the police were coming up. This is some shit like out of a movie
This is called leaving a trail.
Right. They told the Uber driver to get on with it. They didn't threaten him or anything, but they ducked down in the back of the police car.
Of the police car or the Uber?
Oh, of the Uber.
Okay.
So the police wouldn't see him. So what's the impact on the Uber driver from doing this? How should an Uber driver handle this?
Let's see. If I was, and someone laid down in the back seat.
Yeah.
Now, does the Uber driver at this point know that they're armed or committed a murder?
No, I don't
So
think
they're
so.
just laying down.
I've laid down the back seat of some Ubers, but it's
That was
not
2 or 3 o'clock in the morning after out having cocktails.
right, and they'll wake you up.
They will. They will wake you up. I don't know. Do tell me. I don't know. I could come up with some jokes, but I don't know.
Well, come up with the jokes, then we'll hear the
Well, I'll
jokes.
say, if it's a guy and girl laying back there, do you tilt the mirror back and try to see what's going on? You go find them a secluded spot and step outside the car and smoke a cigarette. If you think that something's afoot, some crime going on, do you go, crash test dummy and crash into something and let them go launching out of the back seat? I don't know.
Well, from my understanding, here's what the Uber did. He went ahead and finished the fare because he don't want to fuck up that 5-star
Get
rating,
that
right?
5-star rating, that
Yeah.
tip, tip your Uber drivers
And then
25%.
he contacted the police and said, "Hey, I delivered some people to this address. You might want to come over here and find him." Which is kind of he protected himself. I mean, if I was in that position, I would kind of like, I gotta get these people out of my car.
Absolutely.
So he protected himself.
Play
Then,
dumb.
yeah, and then as a good citizen, which we need good citizens, right? He called the cops. The cops came over.
So did he know that something had already happened, or was
Yeah,
it
because he
just
saw them ducking from the cops as they were
as they
going.
went past the cops? Okay,
Right.
that makes sense. Man, I'm so back in golly 2002 or so, something like that. I was in a unit called the Major Crimes Homicide Unit, and one night my sergeant at the time was a guy by the name of Tim Bracken. One of the guys I worked with was a guy by the name of Glenn Urin, who to this day is one of the funniest policemen I've ever worked around. But we had gotten a call to an apartment over in East Tulsa, kind of near 21st and Memorial area, for a homicide. And we had gone in there and shown up there to investigate it. And the guy was dead as dead, laying on his back right at inside the front door of his apartment. And what had happened was this guy was a photographer here in Tulsa, and he had taken some pictures of a woman at her request, and her boyfriend found out about it and thought there was something going on between the two of them. So he showed up over there, knocked on the door, dude opened the door and just shot him multiple times right there at the door. Boom, drops back dead. Well, the suspect took a cab there. This is pre-Uber, obviously, back in '02 or so. So he took a cab and had the cab wait out there while he did this. And he got out another part of the apartment complex, walked over, shoots this guy, runs back, jumps in the cab, and takes off. Well, he's shit faced drunk during this whole time. And as he's driving back northbound on Memorial, he is just causing a problem in the cab. And so the cab driver pulls over. It used to be a old Phillips 66 at Admiral Memorial. And he kicks the cab driver, ends the fare there, and kicks the guy out. Okay. This goes back to the thing we say all the time, you don't catch the smart ones. So while he is there at the Phillips 66, he's drunk and starts causing a problem there at the Phillips 66. And the gas station attendant calls the police because this guy's being a drunk asshole. And the cops show up and arrest him for a public drunk. All that's happening while we get called out to the homicide. While we're working the homicide, we figured out like an hour or two later, hey, this idiot just got arrested for being drunk. You get the cab driver and all that. So just a old story from 20 plus years ago.
Well, you know what's amazing about that? He was able to get a
That
cab.
uh,
Do you remember how hard it
oh,
was to get a cab around
Tulsa
here?
isn't like New York City. Yeah, there's not cabs that you just stand out in the street corner and put your hand up and get a cab. Tulsa is not like that.
You
No.
have to call pre-Uber. You had to call for him, or you
Mm-hmm.
have to have the guy at the bar call for him if your
Yep.
cell phone was dead. And then it was about a 20-80 mix. 80 not getting a cab, 20 getting a cab. So you'd take a little chance. You'd wait about an hour, and then you'd end up walking to wherever you were going.
Yep.
So I'm just shocked that he got a cab to begin with. Okay, so we were having a conversation this weekend, and you were like, "Hey, dude, did you watch The Bad Vegan?" And I was like, "No, what's it about?" So you went ahead and told me about The Bad Vegan, and I started watching
Did you
it.
watch it? How many have you watched so far?
Dude, it got fucking depressing about the third one. I was just like, I don't know if it was so depressing or it what was going on, what she said was so depressing to me, or I was like, how in the hell are you so goddamn stupid?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I had to turn it off. So I've watched
You got to
two,
finish it. There's only 4 episodes.
right. I watched 2 3/4 of it, but when the whole like metaphysical, all the fanciful thing, I didn't go. So I stopped that one and I started watching this other one. and it was
So before you go on to that, I want to say Bad Vegan is a documentary that is on Netflix right now. It's 4 episodes long. Um, Basically, this woman that owns a very popular vegan restaurant in New York
or I
City,
guess did.
or did own one in New York City, and her lion ass boyfriend basically end up.
No, they got married, dude.
Oh yeah, you're right. They did. They got married. You're right. So the dude she ends up meeting.
She just got skippied. He was just a con man.
Yeah, 100%. She was. Listen, I want to. If if you're interested, it's a good documentary to watch. I thought it was. More than anything, you get baffled how people get. I'm gonna use the word bamboozled or
Dude, and she
brainwashed,
was
or
hot.
she was yeah.
And
But
he
she
was
has no. You didn't finish it, but I'm telling you, the woman accepts no responsibility for her parts,
oh.
and that's what pisses me off too. It's like, hey, yeah, you might have got suckered into this guy, but you need to accept some responsibility for the shit you did too. But good documentary.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so you went on to what?
So I was like, all right, I'm
Beavis
gonna
and Butthead. Would
yeah,
you?
yeah, no.
Huh.
You look a lot like fucking
Yeah,
Beavis. I know.
yeah,
You brought
yeah.
that up too.
Go.
Um, so I went on and was watching another documentary, which took me down a rabbit hole. So you and I like to play Call of Duty, right?
Big Call of Duty fan.
We're big hardcore kill confirm
That's
players.
it. It's the only way to play. It doesn't make sense to get
So
shot and somehow not die.
yeah, it's not realistic. I mean, if we're going to play video games, we want to look pretty realistic.
Absolutely.
So people who don't know anything about Call of Duty, let's give them a little bit of a rundown.
Well, it's what I call, first of all, on a personal level, I call it my dumb down time.
Right. It takes no thinking.
It takes no thinking. It's where I'm not thinking about life or kids or bills or work or whatever it may be. You just kind of focus there. You zone out with a bunch of people, probably ages 12 to 50 ish.
If you're getting beat, they're 12.
Yeah. And they talk shit too. But it's a, what do they call it? A first person shooting game. It's a war game, and different maps, different guns, different tools, and so forth.
So it's extremely popular.
Oh yeah, huge.
I think
huge franchise.
Yeah, I think the Call of Duty franchise has something around 300 million subscribers that pay monthly to. I may be off on my numbers there, but it's somewhere.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's big.
I wouldn't be surprised between that and sales. I mean, I don't know if they're $1 billion enterprise or what,
Yeah,
but
sure
it's a lot of money.
But they we play with other people online. Like you and I can play together. We've played together before. We played all pistol games. We've done some of that stuff.
I play by myself sometimes.
You do.
Since I was 14.
Since it started. But with that said, you play with other people online. We play a game called Kill Confirm, which is if you shoot somebody, they drop a tag and you have to go pick the tag up or it doesn't really count.
Right. Red is for, that you're trying to get to 65 tags.
You are
red is the opposite team you're trying to collect. If there's a blue tag, that's one of the homies that got killed, one of your buddies.
Right. And
you got to go. You want to go
the tag denied.
You want to go get that so the other team doesn't get it.
Right. And we play this hardcore. So that basically means that instead of having to shoot somebody 90 times, you shoot them a couple times and they fall over.
Correct.
So we play that. And we talk shit as well.
Of course.
And we'll have great games where we'll play and let's say, for example, we'll end up with 25 tags and we'll only get killed like 4 times. And then we'll have games that we get
vice versa.
Yeah, it just flips.
And I do want to disclaimer, I don't talk shit until people start talking shit. I'm not an automatic. I don't initiate that.
No, I don't either.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure everyone's aware of that.
But we look a lot like
if you want to play, I'm Sticks 721 on the Xbox, STICKS 721.
And I am Stinky Ponies if you're so inclined to play with me on the Xbox. But it gets kind of frustrating at times, even though this is our downtime. We get aggravated. We're like, oh, what?
I played today.
And you get mad at yourself.
Oh, yeah, you do. You get it, the stress level goes up. I don't know why, but it does.
So there are people that are very good at this.
Correct.
A lot of gamers online. There's gamers that are extremely popular.
There are people that make money
right
playing.
Well, some of these streamers are as popular as this podcast. Some of them even a little bit more
world famous, evidently.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm telling you, they are fucking something. So we've got some of these streamers out there, but there's a lot of guys that are like us, just old and not very
handsome.
Good. Right. But we can go on and we can do these matches where we have a custom match and we can have a bet on it.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I've heard about these. Well, I was watching this documentary and it started talking about this thing called swatting. Have you heard of this?
I was on the SWAT team. I'm well aware of SWAT stuff.
Yeah, but do you know what swatting is?
I do.
I
Uh,
had
s-
no idea. Why didn't you ever tell me about this? First of all, I'm
okay,
kind of
okay.
pissed at
Hold
you
on.
because you didn't tell me
So
about swatting.
I'm sure if we ran the definition of swatting, there is anybody that does SWAT is in special weapons and tactics. That term is not used. So they're swatting, kind of old school. Grandma's going to swat you when you've been
Right.
in trouble. There's probably swatting that goes on in the privacy of
Two adults
two
consenting
adults
or more.
consenting in their bedroom or more, whatever you're into. If you're into odd numbers,
Pineapples.
threes and stuff like that, but some swatting that might take place there. And then there's the swatting of basically somebody calls in a situation to somebody else's residence typically, and it gets the police to show up out there with the police thinking they're coming to some sort of emergency.
Well, I had no clue this shit existed until I heard this term, and I've gone down a rabbit hole on it. So one of the most famous, he called himself like the king of swatters, was on Twitter, and he was known. He was a gentleman that was known for calling bomb threats
Hmm,
to elementary schools in Southern California.
messed up.
He lived in California, so he did a lot of things around California. He would also call into residences or people that had beef with him.
Online.
Yeah,
Yep.
and he would call in like if he got in an argument with somebody online, somebody was trolling him. He would figure out what their address was, which that's called doxing.
Yep.
So I'm learning all these new terms.
Not to be confused with docking.
That's completely between
Find that
one
one
or
on that's on Urban Dictionary.
don't find that one on there. So
We will not demonstrate
no,
docking.
no, we will not at all. So what what transpired is this guy ended up he was living with his grandmother. He's doing these swatting attacks on people.
Well, there's your first clue right there. This guy is living with his grandmother.
Yeah,
At what age? Do we know?
he was 18, 19.
Okay, all right.
He was pretty much raised by his grandmother.
All right, all right.
But he got bored with just making these bomb threats at elementary schools because that's not very exciting. So he thought, you know what, I'm going to do a bomb threat at the news station and have them cover it live because he goes, ooh, that's what I wanted. Well, while he was doing this, and you ask, how was he able to do this from like his grandma's phone?
How is he doing this from his grandma's phone?
Well, he wasn't. I mean, kids are a little more sophisticated with computers than we are. So they were using that VoIP stuff,
Yep.
voice over internet protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So he was routing it. It looked like something like Jason Bourne. But while he was doing this in his room, his grandmother overheard what was going on, went outside into the living room and noticed that there was a bomb threat and made a correlation. So she told her son, she goes, or her grandson, I know you've done this. To which he responded back, yes, I've done this. And if you tell anybody, I will fucking kill you, to his grandmother. So
Wow.
obviously not very stable, right?
He's not going to be in the will.
Right. So what did grandma do? Grandma don't take no shit.
Beat that ass, I hope.
No, grandma don't take no shit. She called the cops and swatted him. So he ended up put in jail. She got a restraining order against him. He couldn't go back. So in order to support himself when he got out of jail, he used his skills to SWAT people for hire. And you ask, well, how much do you charge for a swatting?
How much would one charge for such a thing?
Well, you would charge $10 to $15 depending on how complex the SWAT was. And here's what's fucked up about it, dude. You know this. If you have a fake call, like a bomb threat, or you have a call that there's a domestic violence, somebody's killing it, you send out the SWAT team.
Well, I mean, I know we're making light of the situation, but from a resource standpoint, you are tying up police officers, from other calls that could be on, especially if it is in fact a bomb squad call. So you're calling out bomb squad guys. It's costing the city money for overtime, the resources. If it's a SWAT team type of call that they have to go to, again, you're pulling officers from other places that they're doing their job, other things they're involved with, whether they're off duty with their family and stuff like that. You're pulling people away, for something, and they're going to somebody's house, a school, a business that nothing wrong is going on. And all of a sudden they've got this large police presence and it causes panic. um, a lot of fear and stuff like that. And because I was had a lengthy police career, I have a lot of stories. When I was a brand new police supervisor, we've only fortunately we've only had a handful of those type of calls in Tulsa that I'm aware of. One of them, which happened when I was a new police supervisor, and it was actually not too far from your old place. It was somewhere around maybe like 12th, 15th and Lewis area or something like that, over in that area, if I remember correctly. And a call was coming in from somebody whispering that was saying they were a female, and that their dad had just killed, I think, their mom and like their little brother or their little sister or something. And this person was whispering the whole time, saying they were hiding underneath the bed in their house, and was saying, my dad doesn't know I'm here. He's walking around the house. He's got a gun. He's killed these people, and gave an address. So we're all taking off going there. And we get over to the place. And I mean, I was a brand new supervisor. This is back in 05, 06, something like that. And we're basically setting up a perimeter. And at this point, the dispatcher still has the person on the call. And we get the address. Obviously, we don't want to set up at the wrong address, so we're trying to verify through the dispatcher who's talking to the person on the phone that this is in fact the correct address. So we're trying to get numbers to the house and the street. We're trying to ask for things such as the color of the house, what cars are outside, and so forth, because we want to obviously again make sure we're setting up on this wrong the correct house. Well, one of the things on these type of calls is, basically, if you're suspect, that you believe the suspect in this situation, the dad comes outside, we're going to try to address him, give him commands, to basically surrender to us.
Right. Because you think he's a murderer.
Correct. And we have an arrest team and stuff like that. When you also have what we call long gun coverage, someone with what we call a precision rifle operator, somebody with an AR-15 or something like that. So we've
Deer
got
hunter.
patrol officers that carry ARs here in Tulsa. Obviously, everybody does. And so we get one set up across the street, basically looking at the front door of what we believed is his house. And the order that me as a supervisor that I had to give was, if this guy steps out on the porch and we give him commands of surrender and he doesn't do that, if he turns to go back inside the house,
Drop him.
literally that's it. You are authorized to put this guy down, because we think we have this kid inside underneath the bed. And so that was my decision as a supervisor. I was like, at the time,
That's a tough decision to make.
well, I was on the SWAT team at the time. I'd been on probably 5 or 6 years around this time, and obviously well versed in training and what we call tactical operation guidelines, things like that, knowing what the law allows you to do and stuff like that, and obviously thinking about the safety of this kid. So the decision wasn't hard to make, but like even talking about it today, and it's something post right after it happened, I thought about. I was like, dude, I just gave the green light to an officer that, hey, if this guy comes on the porch and doesn't do what he's supposed to do in terms of going to the house, you put him down. And the more information we kept getting, trying to get from the cars didn't match up to the house we were at. The color of the house didn't match up to where we were at. And we finally, basically, just through other, putting in calls and stuff like that, the name that they were giving, because of the databases we have where we can run utility checks on residences, we can run what we call our TRACES system, which is our Tulsa Regional Record System. You run that and you go, nothing this person's giving matches up. The only thing that matches up is the address they're giving us. And it turned out to be a complete bogus deal. And this person that had done this had done 3 or 4 of these over a couple of weeks in Tulsa. And I don't remember if they ended up eventually getting caught, but it was just like all of a sudden they stopped. But with all that being said, you say, is it hard to give that decision? I don't have a problem either myself or giving the order for somebody if something, if it's a justifiable deal that we need to do, I'd go to sleep just fine. But think about that. Had somebody come out on the front porch that night and, hey, Tulsa police, come here, come here. And the guy's like, man, I don't know what you're talking about, and turns to go in the house. And boom, we end up shooting this guy. So that's the impact these swatting type calls can have, because it's innocent people's homes that you are in fact going to.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, it's beyond a prank.
oh yeah, it's horrible. I mean, it is. It's like I said, an 18-year-old kid who thinks that's funny, or he's pissed off at somebody online, and you know, again, wasting police resources. People, people can get hurt from these things.
Well, I mean, what I heard was that the average cost, minimum cost to send out a SWAT team is something around $10,000
Oh
in
yeah,
resources.
it's a exactly. It's a lot. It's a lot of manpower, a lot of overtime.
Right, for a kid with a cell phone
Mm.
or a kid calling over his computer or stuff. So the reason I guess you're asking why I brought up all that Call of Duty stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you just wanted to get your handle out there so people could do friend requests.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I have so much time to play Call of Duty. But so a case happened. Two guys were playing matched, like a matched pair game, which a matched pair game is it's 2 versus 2.
Hmm.
It's hardcore. So in hardcore, you can also shoot.
I have respect. You could shoot your partners.
Yeah. So they're playing this and they're doing a match game, which they've bet. And you want to know what the wager was?
Well, based on the guy that charges $10 to $15 for his swatting, I'm going to say $10 to $15.
It was $1.50.
Okay, these are big
So
people.
these guys were playing.
So before you finish your story, I'm going to tell you. So here's my ultimate thing I talk shit about on Call of Duty. At the end of the game, when somebody is just talking shit, it's usually, after the game's over when you're in the little lobby where
And they
everyone
have
scores.
horrible stat.
Well, it's even if it's somebody who's really good, you motherfuckers suck, y'all suck, I whipped your ass and this and that. And that's usually, I say it calm as can be, my credit score's better. That's all I say in the lobby. Dude, people start laughing. I'm like, no, my credit score's better. I don't give a fuck. My credit score's better. So the $1.50, these people are not concerned about their credit score if that's what they're wagering.
Well, so these guys wager this game. They go and play. Um, the guy's teammate shoots him and kills him. The guy freaks out, right?
Mhm.
And they get in a huge yelling match over this, right? This is like you and I playing together.
That is one of the funny things when you're playing in the game. So you can only communicate with the people on your team during
Right.
gameplay, and you have people screaming at each other on
Right.
the same team.
Well, yeah, we're not like that. We just go on pew pew.
Yeah, we don't care.
So he ends up screaming at him. He goes, "You motherfucker! I am so pissed at you. I'm gonna have your house swatted." Tells the guy this, right?
Okay.
He goes, I'm gonna find the king of swatters. Well, the king of swatters was a Twitter handle for this guy who was doing this stuff for 10 to 15 bucks a swat. So this guy contacts him and he says, "Hey, my Call of Duty partner sucks. He lost a match. I'm out $1.50. I'm willing to pay you $15 or 10 times as much
That is 10 times.
if you can cause him a little bit of grief." And the guy goes, "Yeah, I don't know about that." Well, his partner catches wind that he's contacted this guy in the Twitter feed. So since he's contacted this guy in the Twitter feed, he can see it in the Twitter feed.
Oh, yeah. These are smart people we're talking about.
Right. So his partner goes, "Listen up, king of the swatters. Here's my address. Come get you some." So the king of the swatters has a little bit of an ego. He kind of gets off on doing this. He's been taunted. He looks at the guy's address. He's in Wichita, Kansas. And anybody that's been to Wichita, Kansas knows that.
BTK serial killer?
Yeah, I've ever heard. Yeah, you have heard of that guy?
Yeah. Not much else in Wichita.
Cessna airplanes. They're out of there.
It's just like it's the only town you basically drive through once you get out of Sand Springs, Oklahoma, until you get to Denver.
Yeah, it is.
There's not much.
There's that one place that Bob Dole's from. So he ends up calling Wichita's police department. He tells them that his dad has just killed his mom.
Similar to my story here.
Right. They have a common script. He gets the guys. He gives a description. He says, "I'm still in the house. You need to come over here and take care of this." Well, little did the police know that they were being swatted. So the police show up at this address. A gentleman opens the door, comes out. You guys, when you roll deep, you roll deep.
Sure.
And if you
especially on a call like that.
Yeah, if you think somebody's armed, I mean, your job's stressful as hell. You have people shooting at you when you don't expect it. So if you do expect them to be shooting at you, I mean, you're ready to go. Shows up at this house, knocks on the door, guy comes out, has no idea what's going on, right? Because the partner, had given him the wrong address.
Jeez.
Unfortunately, this guy comes out, the police are there. He turns around and walks back into the house. He gets shot as he's turning around and going back in and is killed.
I just want So just for everybody listening, the story that I was giving about my incident,
Is
Howard and
not this.
well, no, I was saying Howard and I did not pre-discuss anything we were going to talk about on here, and it wasn't
No.
like we shared stories. So this is just exactly going to what I had said earlier. This is what you fear that happens on these type of calls.
And this is exactly, and when you were saying that, that's what I was like,
Yeah.
this is horrible. So the swatter ends up, there's a
Is it like a felony murder charge?
no, he got caught, he got charged with involuntary manslaughter
Okay.
and ended up getting, he was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for that.
Okay.
I don't know what
Because he
happened.
used probably computer or telephonic device across like state lines or something like that. I'm imagining that's why it was a federal deal.
Yeah, absolutely. But the guy that did it was a guy named Tyler Barreras, and he was like basically a 25-year-old homeless kid that was doing this stuff. But this is just, here's what it said. It unlocked a new fear for me. Like I'm scared of my snakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared of my mama, and now I'm scared of
Getting
this
swatted. So,
SWAT.
so now you play with mute on every time now.
Yeah, I don't talk any shit, and I'm
Yeah.
not playing any match games to where I have to put up money. And if I do, I'm just like, I'm so sorry
Done.
that I killed you. And this is not an isolated occurrence. One of the things that also that I read was about a gentleman who was from Tennessee, and he was a 60-year-old man, and he was into computers. He was a computer scientist. And I was into computers when I was very young, so he was an early adopter of technology. Is like what I like to say. My girlfriend, she's a little younger than me, and she likes to say that I'm new to computers. And I'm like,
I've
oh,
been around.
I
Commodore
was,
64.
I was like, I was there when they were born.
Commodore, yeah.
I was like, I'm not new to computers.
Yeah.
I was an early adopter. So we have stuff about this. But this gentleman in Tennessee, he got on Twitter real early, like within the first 3 or 4 months, and he ended up with a Twitter handle Tennessee.
Okay.
Which, you know, that's
Probably could sell that.
right. And he got many offers for it, $3,000 to $5,000. Like, hey, you want to sell Tennessee on Twitter? No, I don't want to sell it. No, I don't want to sell it. No, I don't want to sell it. Well, somebody came and asked him, hey, you want to sell it? And he goes, no, I don't want to sell it. He goes, well, fuck you. I'm going to go ahead and dox you and put your information out there. Doxed him, put his information out there, and a teenager in the UK picked up the information and goes, huh, all right, I'm going to go ahead and swat this guy. So he was a little bit more sophisticated in what he was saying. And the police 911 call has a young man with a British accent talking about his father, again, has killed some family members, and he has rigged the entire place with pipe bombs. And so the police show up out there. This 60-year-old man walks out of his house, and he's got a little farm in the country. He comes out. He's has no idea what the hell's going on. The police are there in full force. They go, he goes, yeah, I'm cooperating with you. Whatever you need, whatever you need. I guess he has a little farm and some animals, and he has a metal gate there and a fence that surrounds it. So he gets up to the metal gate, and police officers are, you guys are a lot smarter than, I mean, the things that
Then we look.
well, then you look for you retired, but that's okay. They look, they see things, they see a lot of things that could be a threat. And the one thing that the cop saw that was a threat was the gate because it was made of pipe. And so he was like, the guy goes, I'm going to open the gate. He goes, don't open the gate. Okay, why not? He goes, don't open the gate. And of course, they think that this man has killed somebody. They
And it's
think
booby trapped and yeah.
all of this jazz. Well, they were like, I want you to climb over the gate. And the guy goes, I can't climb over the gate. I'm 60 years old and I'm overweight and stuff.
Did he have legs like Tink Tink?
He didn't have tink tink legs.
Okay.
But they said they were like, well, then crawl under the gate. Well, the gate was about a foot off the ground, and this guy was a little chunky, and he was a little thicker than a foot, and it took some exertion for the 60-year-old man to. And you know, I'm telling this story like the 60-year-old man's old. 60 ain't very old.
It's not old. No.
No, I don't think that this is very old. But this guy wasn't in peak performance like you and I are. He goes to climb under.
He didn't go to CrossFit Eclipse in Tulsa?
No, he didn't at all. Or ride mountain bikes at Turkey Mountain.
That's it.
Or play golf at the place you play golf.
That place I play golf at.
The club. So he goes to climb under the gate, ends up having a massive heart attack and dies.
Oh, man.
So what are you going to do with a kid that's in the UK that's done this swatting? What happens to him?
Do they do? I don't know. They do a warrant. And I'm just guessing here. Interpol, isn't that what they? Isn't that what it's called? Like for some international type of stuff to arrest a person.
Yeah, he was actually extradited to the U.S.
All right.
They they were like, okay, this ain't the way you play. So how do how do you protect yourself as an average citizen from this kind of stuff? You can't, can you?
No. So just kind of go back in. What do they charge him for?
I think they.
Well, while you're looking at that, so speaking for Oklahoma, obviously every state has a different name for a lot of the laws that are very similar in nature. But here in Oklahoma, we have what's called felony murder,
Okay.
and it is where if you are committing a felony and because of your actions somebody dies, even though it wasn't your intent. Obviously, if you go shoot at somebody, your intent is to shoot them, so that's a different type of murder. But example, uh, you go do a bank robbery, you go inside there, or actually, it's very similar to this story right here. You go inside to do a bank robbery, you have a gun in there, older lady in there has a heart attack and dies. She died because of the stress of the bank robbery happening while you're in there. Even though you didn't try to kill her, you're going to be charged. Another example that we have that happens quite a bit. Let's say you and I are bad guys. We're going to do a robbery at a convenience store. We go in and guns out. We walk through the door, convenience store owner. It's one of these mom and pop places. He's prepared for us. He comes in, he starts shooting. When we come in, kills one of us, and the other one gets away. Well, guess what? The one that got away is going to get charged for felony murder. So your homeboy, my buddy got killed, but because of our actions is why he was killed. So somebody, had to do something. We were committing a felony. They had to do something resulted in that death. So that's what we call a felony murder here.
Okay.
And that's the type of charge for something like that that would typically happen on both of the incidents that you gave. Now, to protect yourself, um, obviously these things are few and far in between. They don't happen a lot. Well documented stories out there. Listen, with public records, there's so much of your information out there. I do know, there's a couple different places you can go online to try to get some of your information removed. One of them is called spokeo.com, Spokeo. So you can kind of look yourself up there and you can fill out the paperwork to remove your name from the public records. Whitepages.com. Remember the old good old phone book type of deal? There's one called whitepages.com, has a lot of personal information on there. You can get on there as well and get your information removed. So that way you're at least minimizing to the best that you can how much of your information's out there. Obviously, if you're online, don't share your shit with anybody. Try to minimize how much you can get released to the public.
Hey, with the white pages thing, I got to ask you a question. Do you ever remember going through the white pages and there was a girl that you liked and her last name, and you would call all of the phone numbers with the last name asking
Oh,
for it?
dude, I remember
Do you
living out in the
like?
Bay Area and the phone book. I mean, listen, I was a kid. We prank call people right out of the phone book. You just random flip through pages, pick a name, just point finger down, and your buddy had to call it and say some stupid shit.
Yeah, but you never had the police sent out there.
No, well, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't ask for police to show
We
out
weren't
there.
that
This is
sophisticated.
back in the era of, is your refrigerator running?
But go
Well, you better
catch
go
it.
catch it. That type of stupid stuff.
Yeah,
So,
there was a lot. I had a great time before caller ID came in. Cranking my mom because she was an accountant,
no.
and I would call her accounting office. And I go, "Yeah, this is Leroy Bartholomew. I need to talk to Pam for a minute." I got like 2 or 3 of her receptionists. I got through to mom,
That's awesome.
mom that way, and they were like, "Oh, Howard, you're something." Okay, so the British kid, ended up getting 60 months. It didn't say what he's charged with.
So, did he get charged federally also?
Yes,
Well,
I'm
probably
assuming.
if it's in months, that's usually how the feds do their stuff. So that's 5 years federal.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he ended up getting that. But again, just fascinating stuff.
So both of those cases that I think you just mentioned, they were both federal. I mean, I'm assuming that one was federal. I think the one before that you said federal. And what it is if you're using, you commit computer crimes, it's very easy for federal prosecutors to pick those type of cases up because
Right.
you're using computers. Stuff that goes over state lines, telephones, things like that are very easily picked up or adopted by federal prosecutors for prosecution.
Well, man, I had like 30 things. We're going to have to do another one of these because I
Dude,
had
these are
30 things to talk about. And we talked about swatting
these are
and we
lovely.
talked about tink tink.
Well, we've got what, 2.5 minutes? What else we got?
We can talk about, well, cars are getting expensive right now, right?
So is gas.
Yeah. So, $1 million worth of Ford pickups were stolen. A pickup, for people who aren't in Oklahoma, is a kind of a car with a thing in the back that's open to the elements, to which you can put stuff on. Most of these devices are used in Oklahoma to be jacked up and have big tires put on.
Or they usually you haul around your family in the back
Right.
with no seatbelts or just freely sitting back there. You have a couple dogs, 4 kids, just running around the back of the bed as you're driving down the highway.
Hey, is it against the law to have somebody in the bed of a truck?
Man, I've been asked that a million times, and I am not a traffic guru. So I don't know if it is. Listen, I don't know. I can tell you what trafficking cocaine is in Oklahoma.
But you don't know
I
about
can
sitting
tell
in
you
the
what
back
the
of
federal charge is for being a felon in possession of a firearm and so forth. But I
Have you
don't,
ever ridden the back of a pickup truck?
man, I know
That's some California shit. Yes, I have 1,000 times.
no, back then I have, I remember doing it with like the old camper shell on the back,
Oh, yeah.
back in that era when those were around.
That
But
was just the first SUVs. That's all.
that was, the first, those early 84 4Runners.
You can haul that around. But the pinnacle of trucks around here, if you want to be cool, I mean, this seriously, if you want to get a lot of looks from guys around here, you would get the Ford Raptor, right?
That's true.
The F-150 Ford Raptor.
Yep.
With like 900 horsepower.
Oh yeah, they're strong with those Shelby trucks too.
Yeah, somebody with the price of cars right now, this isn't that many, but somebody stole them $1 million worth of those.
So what was it, like literally 10 of them?
Yeah, like
Six. I would say, yeah, it's probably not that many. Yeah.
No, they retail, the base price on them $70,000,
Yep.
but with the dealer markup now, I'm sure that they stole like 8 cars.
Hmm.
But that made national news, which I thought was funny, because everybody around here, every time I get in a group of guys that are truck owners, oh man, you seen that Ford Raptor? It's pretty cool.
Those things are fast, man.
It looks like an episode of King of the Hill. I'm talking around.
Well, I'm gonna drop this real quick. We got about 30 seconds left.
Okay.
But old Phil Hawkins,
yeah,
the real Phil, he's got a Ford Raptor. He's got a real nice one. We took a hell of a fast road trip to that from Tulsa to Kansas City in that thing. But also Corey Scott, he's got a Raptor that's his hunting truck.
That's his hunting truck?
That's his hunting
What's
truck.
He run into deer with him?
It literally runs over them. Runs over them, yeah. So that's his hunting truck, a Ford Raptor.
See, I knew this would be very pertinent to what we're speaking of here in Oklahoma. So, hey, Sean, that was fun. I appreciate it.
Always is. We'll hit these other stories next time.
Yeah, I think we'll probably need to do 2 or 3 more. I've got a lot of stories that we need to talk about.
All right, that's it for Coptales and Cocktails. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right, out.